The rain hits your face like it's trying to wash you off the porch entirely, and your mother's voice cuts through the storm louder than the thunder ever could. You are no son of mine, 17 years old, soaked to the bone, duffel bag clutched in one hand, and those 6 words lent harder than any fist ever could. You want to say something back. You want to scream, to beg, to remind her that 3 days ago she kissed your forehead and called you her whole world. But the door slams first. The porch light flicks off, and you're standing alone on Maple Hollow Road with nothing but a bag of clothes and a heart that just cracked clean in half. Your name is Silas Winslow, and this is the night your life ends, and somehow, quietly, begins. You don't remember walking to the bus station. You remember the cold. You remember counting the coins in your pocket under a flickering streetlight. $4.30. The sum total of everything you own in the world. You remember an old woman at the ticket counter looking at you with something between pity and suspicion, asking where a boy your age is headed alone this late. You tell her anywhere. She sells you a ticket to the next town over because it's the only one your $4 can buy. You don't know it yet, but that town, a forgotten stretch of Ohio called Brindlewood, is where everything changes. The bus rattles through the dark for 2 hours. You press your forehead to the cold glass and replay the fight for the 100th time. Your mother, Odessa Winslow, standing in the kitchen with her jaw set like stone, telling you that if you walked out that door to chase some foolish dream, instead of taking over the hardware store your father built with his own hands before he died, you'd walk out for good. You told her the store was dying anyway, that the new supply chain, the big box stores 20 miles out, were bleeding it dry, and no amount of stubborn pride was going to save it. You told her you had a plan. She told you plans don't put food on the table, promises do, and you'd broken every promise you ever made her since your father passed. She wasn't entirely wrong, but she wasn't entirely right either. And now you're 17, orphaned in every way that matters, staring at a town you've never seen, with nothing but a duffel bag and a stubborn, aching hope that you'll prove her wrong. You sleep behind a laundromat that first night. The hum of the dryers is almost comforting. It drowns out the sound of your own crying, which you'd never admit to a soul. By morning, you've made a decision. You are not going back, not until you have something to come back with. The first year is the hardest thing you will ever survive. You wash dishes at a diner called the Rusty Spoon, sleeping in the storage room when the owner, a gruff, kind-eyed man named Beauregard Vance, looks the other way. Beauregard doesn't ask questions. He just leaves an extra plate of eggs by the register some mornings, sliding it toward you without a word, like it's nothing, like it doesn't mean everything to a boy who hasn't eaten a warm meal in days. You learn things in that diner you didn't learn in 17 years at home. You learn how people talk when they think no one's listening. Truckers arguing about fuel prices, engineers sketching blueprints on napkins, a woman in a cracked leather jacket explaining to her friend how she just filed a patent for some kind of water filtration system. You listen. You always listen, because listening is free, and it's the only education you can afford. One night, an old engineer named Cassius Meriwether leaves his notebook behind. You almost don't open it, but curiosity has always been your weakness. The same curiosity your mother once called reckless. The same curiosity that made you take apart the radio in your father's workshop when you were 9, just to see how the sound got. Inside the box, inside the notebook, are sketches, circuit designs, a concept for cheap, solar-powered water pumps for rural communities that don't have reliable electricity, half-finished, brilliant, but abandoned. You find him 3 days later, drinking coffee alone in a booth, staring at nothing. You slide the notebook back across the table and ask him why he stopped. He looks at you like you're the first person who's asked him anything in years. He tells you the money ran out. The investors backed away. Nobody believed a struggling engineer with no connections could make it work. You tell him you believe it could work. He laughs, not unkindly, just tired. Kid, you're what, 16, 17, you say, and I've got nothing to lose. That single sentence becomes the axis your entire life turns on. For the next 2 years, you work every spare hour beside Cassius in a leaky garage on the edge of Brindlewood, learning wiring, soldering, panics, the language of circuits, and current. You still wash dishes at night to keep a roof however thin over your head. You sleep 4 hours some nights, 3 on others. Your hands blister and callous. Your knees ache from crouching over workbenches. But for the first time since your mother's door slammed shut, you feel something other than grief. You feel purpose. There's a girl too. There's always a girl in stories like this. But she isn't a fairy tale. She's real, sharp-tongued, and brilliant. Named Thessaly Okafor, the daughter of a local schoolteacher who tutors you in math after her shifts at the library. She doesn't fall for you because you're charming. You aren't. Not yet. You're too guarded, too bruised. She falls for you because she watches you work 18-hour days without complaint. Because she sees the way your eyes light up over a working prototype like it's Christmas morning. Because she recognizes in you the same stubborn hope she carries herself. She becomes the first person since your father died who makes you believe you're not broken beyond repair. The prototype pump works on the 4th attempt. It's crude, ugly, held together with wire and prayer, but it pumps clean water from 60 feet below ground, using nothing but sunlight, and it costs a fraction of anything on the market. You and Cassius patent it together. Neither of you sleep that week, not from exhaustion this time, but from something closer to disbelief. It doesn't happen overnight. Nothing worth having ever does. You spend 2 brutal years pitching to investors who laugh you out of boardrooms, who see a 20-year-old with no degree and a rural accent, and decide you're not worth the risk. Door after door closes. You start to understand, in a strange and painful way, exactly how your mother must have felt watching the hardware store slip through her fingers. No matter how hard she fought, but you don't quit. Quitting was never in your blood. Even she'd have to admit that if she ever saw what you'd become. The break comes from an unlikely place. A small agricultural cooperative in Kenya, desperate for affordable irrigation, stumbles across an article about your invention. They order 40 units, then 400, then 4,000. Word spreads through NGOs, through aid organizations, through governments and places where clean water isn't a convenience, but a daily, deadly struggle. Within 3 years, your company, Winslow Meriwether Technologies, is a name spoken in rooms you once weren't allowed to clean the floors of. By 25, you're no longer the boy sleeping behind a laundromat. You're a name in business magazines. By 27, you're a billionaire. A word so absurd, so impossible, that you still flinch when someone says it about you. But money was never the thing you were chasing. Somewhere in all those sleepless nights, in all those blistered hands and cold diner floors, what you were really chasing was proof. Proof that you weren't the failure your mother saw slamming that door behind you. Proof that leaving didn't mean losing. You think about her every single day. You've kept tabs, quietly, through an old friend from Maple Hollow Road, who still writes you letters. Actual paper letters, because your mother never did trust the internet. You learned that the hardware store finally closed 4 years after you left, exactly as you predicted, and that heartbreak nearly broke her, the way it broke you the night she sent you away. You learned she took a job stocking shelves at the very big box store that put her out of business, because pride, it turns out, doesn't pay the electric bill. You learn she never remarried, never moved, never took your photograph down from the hallway wall. Despite everything she said that night, you learn 3 months ago that she was diagnosed with a heart condition, serious, the kind that needs surgery she can't afford on a stock clerk's wage. And that is the night you finally buy a plane ticket back to Maple Hollow Road. Thessaly, your wife now, 3 years married, steady as the ground beneath you, asks if you're sure. You tell her you've never been less sure of anything in your entire life, and you've also never needed to do anything more. The drive from the airport takes 40 minutes. It feels like 10 years compressed into 40 minutes. Every mile marker is a memory. The gas station where you used to buy penny candy with your father, The church your mother dragged you to every Sunday, even after his funeral. The old oak tree where you carved your initials at age 8, still faintly visible beneath 10 years of bark growth. The house looks smaller than you remember. The porch light, the same one that flicked off the night she disowned you, is broken, hanging loose from a single wire. The paint is peeling. The garden your father once tended with such pride is overgrown and wild. You stand at the bottom of the porch steps for a long time before you find the courage to climb them. She opens the door slowly. 10 years have carved deep lines into a face you once knew as unbreakable. Her hair, once dark, is silver now. Her hands, gripping the doorframe for support, tremble slightly, whether from illness or shock, you can't yet tell. She stares at you like she's seeing a ghost. Maybe, in some way, she is. The 17-year-old boy she sent into the rain died on this very porch a decade ago. The man standing before her now is someone else entirely. Someone she both recognizes and doesn't. Silas. Her voice cracks on your name, like she's afraid saying it wrong will make you disappear. You don't say anything grand. You don't recite some rehearsed speech about success or vindication, though God knows you practiced 100 versions on the flight over. Instead, you simply say the thing that's been sitting in your chest for 10 years, heavier than any billion-dollar company you've ever built. I heard about your heart, Mom. I'm here to fix it, whatever it costs. Her legs nearly give out. You catch her before she falls, and for the first time in 10 years, you hold your mother in your arms, and she holds you back like she's terrified of ever letting go again. She cries into your shoulder in a way you've never heard her cry, not even at your father's funeral. She keeps repeating that she's sorry, that she was scared and proud, and grieving your father, and terrified of losing you too. That she said the cruelest thing a mother could say to a child because she didn't know how else to fight for the future she thought you were throwing away. She tells you she's read every single article about Winslow Meriwether Technologies, that she has a folder, an actual physical folder, filled with newspaper clippings about your company, that she used to tell strangers at the grocery store, quietly, almost shyly, that the boy from that article used to live in this town. She never told anyone he was hers. She didn't think she'd earned the right to claim you anymore. You tell her she never lost that right. Not once. Not for a single day. The surgery happens 2 weeks later. In the best cardiac unit money and connections can arrange. You're in the waiting room the entire 6 hours. The same way you imagine. She once sat in waiting rooms for you as a child with fevers and broken bones. The debt of care, finally, being repaid. When the surgeon comes out and says the words, "complete success," you feel something in your chest, a knot that had been tight for 10 straight years. She recovers in a house you buy her not because she asked, but because you needed her to know, in the most concrete way you could offer, that you'd never let her fight anything alone again. You rebuild the old hardware store too, as a store. This time, but as a community center, a place where kids in Maple Hollow Road who feel as lost and unseen as you once did can learn trades, learn skills, learn that failure isn't a life sentence. You name it after your father. Your mother cries again when she sees the sign go up, and this time, you cry with her. Odessa Winslow spends her final years not estranged from her only son, but sitting beside him at Sunday dinners, bouncing her grandchildren on her knee, telling anyone who'll listen proudly now, loudly now, that her son built an empire out of nothing but a duffel bag and a broken heart. She tells the story differently each time, softening the edges of that rainy night a little more with every retelling, though you both know, silently, exactly what was said and exactly what it cost. You never resent her for it. Grief does strange things to good people. Fear does stranger things still. And forgiveness, you've come to learn, isn't about forgetting what happened on that porch. It's about choosing, every single day, not to let it define what comes after. Some nights, when the house is quiet and your own children are asleep down the hall, you think back to that 17-year-old boy standing in the rain with $4.30 in his pocket, certain his life was over. You wish you could reach back, through time and tell him something simple, that the door closing behind him wasn't the end of his story, it was the very first page of it, that every blister, every sleepless night, every door slammed in his face by investors who saw nothing but a poor kid with a wild idea, was quietly, invisibly, building the man who would one day walk back through that same front door, not for revenge, not for pride, but simply to save the only mother he ever had. Because in the end, it was never about proving her wrong, it was about becoming someone worth coming home to.
Sometimes the people who gives us everything ask for nothing in return until the day they need us most. If this story reminded you of someone in your life, share it with them, and if you want more stories like this, subscribe. I will see you in the next one.